Hi out there, everybody. We're glad you joined us once again. I am Charlene, and this is Ty, and we're here for the Truth About Cancer Global Health News.
We're so glad that you joined us today, and we have some interesting articles to cover. Hope you enjoyed the last episode, and we hope that you'll share this episode. That's the way that we can spread the truth and we can enlighten the world, is just to get you to help us out by sharing this video with your friends and with your family and with your sphere of influence. So let's get rolling, because we have a lot to cover, and we don't want to keep you here too long. We know that there's a sweet spot. You don't want to be on this forever, but we want to cover some good material for you today. So we're going to get rolling, and the first article we want to cover, and this is an article about one of the protocols that they're using at CHIPSA Hospital in Tijuana. We've got a good friend here in Nashville named Ck3, and Ed is the owner of CHIPSA Hospital down in Tijuana, Mexico.
And he's doing some great things, so we want to bring this protocol. It's very interesting to us. It's fairly new, and they're using it successfully. What is it?
It's called the CK3 Protocol, and what this is a combination of vitamin C with vitamin K3, and it's used intravenously. So they call it IV CK3. It's a long acronym, but that's what it is. And so we know that K3 has cancer-killing properties. We know that C has cancer-killing properties. And the combination of them, I don't want to get into the science because it's pretty complicated, but the way that the synergy of the two works is really amazing. And they're getting some fantastic results of this down at their hospital down in Tijuana. And one of the interesting things about the CHIPSA Hospital that we really are happy about, and we see that it's an area that's kind of overlooked in many healing centers, is the area of music, right? So you want to tell them what they do at CHIPSA Hospital, hon?
Yes, we were pleasantly surprised. Here in Nashville, there's a lot of great country singers, and we've, through them, met some of these amazing people. And the reason we think that they're amazing is they're using their gifts and talents to minister to these people suffering from cancer, but they're recovering. And it's not really a situation of suffering, it seems. They're just there full of joy and happiness. In the last episode we talked about, ended it with laughter is good medicine. We need to be joyful. And that alone has been proven to be very effective in healing our bodies from sickness and disease and cancer. So these singers go down there and they just spend their time. One of the singers that has just dramatically changed his life to minister to these people was sang at our live event. So if you were there, you got to see him and enjoy his
John
music.
Wesley Satterfield is his name. And he, as Charlene mentioned, he sings to cancer patients full time. So anyway, the CHIPSA Hospital is really using a lot of integrative approaches. They use not only the IV CK3, but they also use Coley's toxins, Gerson therapy, hyperthermia, hyperbaric oxygen chambers.
B17.
B17. They're using a wide range of treatment protocols to hit cancer from different angles, but very successful. We met a lady at one of the events here in Nashville that was diagnosed with a late stage cancer, and she's
It was in her
great.
sinuses, and she had pictures. She had this huge tumor growing in the middle of her forehead,
right
between in her nose area, and when she went there, just almost immediately, it just started healing. And she's just a precious soul. And she's now out there sharing with people her healing because she wants to help others as well. And we're very impressed and grateful for CHIPSA Hospital and Ck3 and the whole team.
Yeah.
So
and we wanted to give you an opportunity to hear a little bit from Ed himself. So while we were at the live event in Orlando, we got a quick interview with him. And here's a couple snippets from that interview.
Yeah, so CHIPSA Hospital, it was actually the original Gerson Hospital. Charlotte Gerson was one of the founders of it with Dr. Victor Ortuño in 1979. And my mom had a severe case of rheumatoid arthritis, and mainstream medications had failed her. And so I was very familiar with Gerson therapy and Coley's toxins. I'd actually read a study from 1923 about Coley's for rheumatoid arthritis. And CHIPSA was the only hospital in North America that was actually using it. So we purchased CHIPSA Hospital. It had been closed down for 2 years. And we purchased it, and my mom was our second patient, and she's now in remission.
Oh, that's fantastic.
For her arthritis, yeah.
Yeah, so I bet that makes you feel pretty good.
Yeah, it's great. She was in a wheelchair. She now walks, and I guess you met her. She's vibrant, and it's amazing.
What do you attribute that to? What did you do? What protocol?
So she did a strict Gerson diet, so lots of detox, and Coley's toxins. Coley's toxins is the original immunotherapy. So Dr. William Coley is considered the father of immunotherapy. So it stimulates the innate immune system. So it releases dendritic cells, macrophages, natural killer cells. And the idea in conventional medicine for RA, for instance, is to suppress the immune system. Our idea is to stimulate the immune system and reset it. So you cause acute inflammation, and then when it goes down, you should have some gains. And that's really what happened to her. So we cause inflammation, and that's actually what Gerson therapy does. Gerson therapy causes Herxheimer reactions. So you get inflammation, then you're doing the coffee enemas to get that glutathione S-transferase release, and then you get the body to go back to normal.
Wow. So when you successfully were able to help your mother to heal from within, where did that take you? Did it propel you into what?
My mom and my dad are my heroes. They're just amazing, amazing people. And we would take families off the street when I was a kid. We weren't wealthy at all. But they just taught me, always be helping people. So CHIPSA, Scott, Dedrick, and I, we don't have to be doing it. I'm a former professional fighter. I had done fine in my previous profession, but it was a passion. It's like, how can you make a difference? One of my favorite sayings is, when in doubt, focus out. When's the last time you felt bad feeding the homeless? You don't feel bad feeding the homeless. You feel good feeding the homeless. So it's really just helping as many people as possible, and cancer is the most complicated one. And I don't think anybody has a full answer, quite frankly. And what from my perspective, we have the conventional side throwing giant rocks at the alternative side throwing giant rocks at the conventional side, and there was a chance to build a bridge. So we've been very open with conventional scientists, say, hey, what do you got coming on the horizon? And what we found is a lot of the scientists are great people. They want to cure cancer just the same. I think that the big pharma is what gets in the way, but there's a lot of really good scientists with treatments coming up that are cutting edge, and that's what CHIPSA really wants to bring is newer treatments that are that have good science backing them, that we can use, non-toxic treatments that we could use to treat cancer, along with the things that we've been doing for 40 years.
So what is your vision for CHIPSA? What do you want to see happen?
Well, my vision for CHIPSA, the ultimate goal is to cure cancer. That's the ultimate, and doing that is going to take CHIPSA bringing in people from all over the world, the top doctors, scientists, naturopaths, everybody, and having an open mind and not being stuck to an ideology. If we see something working, that's we do that, but not being stuck to just one way because that's the way that we've always done it. So it's being really open. We hired an MD Anderson award-winning oncologist to run the IPT aspect of it. We work with PhD immunologists, some of which who have worked for the NIH. We work with, we have a naturopath from the United States that works at the hospital full-time. And then we have 18 Mexican doctors and a surgical oncologist as well. So CHIPSA is a 6-story, fully functional hospital. And we just want to bring in the very best from all the different treatments available throughout the world, have an open mind, and help solve this problem.
One thing that Ty and I saw that we really were encouraged about and loved is you have so many friends that are country singers, and some of them very famous. And living right there in Nashville, we were able to attend some of the gatherings that you had, and to meet them and to see the love for these cancer patients and for you, and the camaraderie there is in this group of people. How did that happen? And one of the singers, I think you said he moved. He's here. He moved down there to sing to the patients. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So a lot of my friends are musicians. I was born and raised in Nashville. And so some of my best friends are now musicians doing very well. And they were just regular people up until they hit big. So I've known them for a long time. My martial arts gym in Nashville was one of the largest in the United States. And a lot of them would come and train with me at the time. So I was hanging out with John Satterfield, and one of my favorite things is to be on a tour bus or just hanging out at my house with my friends and then have a guitar, just playing acoustic and playing music. And music can be healing too. Music is a connector as well. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could bring that experience to the patients? And I was telling John about that vision, and John's like, okay, I'll do it. And 2 weeks later, he had moved to Mexico, and he's a brilliant musician. He's a genius among geniuses when it comes to songwriters. And he moved to Mexico and had musicians flying out to play for the patients. Now, John runs the nonprofit called Hope Song, where they fly out 2 musicians from Nashville or Los Angeles every single week to play for the patients. And it's really been an amazing program that, you know, it's important to patients to feel like, you know, people go out of their way to help them.
Hi, my name is Laura Payne, and I'm currently receiving treatment here at CHIPSA Hospital. Hope Song has made a huge impact in not just my life, but my husband and our family.
It was really wonderful. It's so great to be able to eat and have this wonderful music at the same time.
Yeah, they're very talented.
It was great. It was one of the nicest productions of country music I've heard in a long time.
It's like, oh wow, people actually do love me. This world isn't full of hate. Like, oh wow, there's somebody from Nashville that just flew out just to play music for me for the week. And it's really brought that camaraderie and love together in the hospital. And you know, kudos to John, because he pretty much stopped his music career to go support cancer patients who are sick and need a little bit of uplifting.
There's one more question, well, maybe two, but which one of the docuseries, was it the very first one, The Truth About, or was it The Quest for the Cures, or The Quest for the Cures Continues, do you know, or was it The Truth About Cancer, A Global Quest?
It was 2 years ago.
Okay, so that's probably The Truth About Cancer, A Global Quest.
Yes.
So, first of all, how did you get your hands on that? And then secondly, how did it impact you?
Yeah, so I saw The Truth About Cancer, A Global Quest about 2 years ago, and it was brilliant. I mean, why wouldn't somebody want to go around the world and find the commonalities of the best treatments? Because ultimately, it's about education and having an open mind and bringing these ideas together. And I mean, I said this in my speech in Nashville, I don't think anybody's made a bigger impact on cancer treatment than you and Ty. And it's the truth. It's powerful what you've done, because now millions and millions of people know that there's other options out there. And they might even do conventional therapy too, but they might supplement it with some alternative things. Or they might go alternative. Either way, you're providing a great service, because it's educating the public and it's giving people hope that might not have had hope before. You know, hope is a powerful thing. You know, I think it's important as a society to recognize people that are doing their best to help people. And that's all we're doing. We're doing the very best we can with what we've been taught, and that's all that we can do. And so I commend, you know, both you and Ty for that effort, because it has made a giant difference. You saved a lot of lives, and I don't know if you realize, but it's very powerful.
Thank you. This is why we do what we do, to save lives, because, as I said this morning, you weren't here this morning, but we had to lose a lot of family members. And as a result, learning the truth, as you know, you want others to know the truth so that they don't have to die.
Right.
Cancer does not have to be a death sentence, and that's what we want to leave with people. Cancer does not have to be a death sentence. We want to educate them before they get the diagnosis, so that they would have the information to make the decision and the wisdom to make the best one for them. So if you would want us to know one thing about what you're doing with CHIPSA Hospital in your life, with the truth about cancer information or whatever, what is one solid thing you'd want everyone to know?
I think that the mind for treatments, the mind is underrated. I used to train professional athletes, and the idea that you wouldn't train the fighter's mind for that competition is silly. Well, same thing when it comes to treating an illness, especially cancer. You know, they're faced with the possibility of death. So the importance of training their mind to be ready for that battle. And you know, the mind is a powerful, powerful thing. The placebo is in studies for a reason. So one of the things that we really focus on is the power of the mind, and we have a class called The Power of the Mind. And we really allow people to let go of whatever it might be that's kind of holding them back and that they're afraid to deal with, because what do they have to lose? So you know, we really do focus on that, and I think that's one of the things that makes us unique, but I see a lot of the other alternative or integrative places doing that same thing. They recognize how important the mind is when it comes to dealing with their cancer.
And if you could describe just in maybe 1 or 2 sentences, CHIPSA Hospital, and people would understand what it is, what would you say?
CHIPSA Hospital is an integrative cancer treatment hospital that is always trying to find the very best ways to treat the disease. And we are doing everything in our power to get the breakthroughs as fast as possible, because we're all connected to this. We've all experienced cancer. We've all been through it, and we want to fix this as fast as possible.
So great information from Ed Clay. He's just a man on a mission to help eradicate cancer, doing great work, and we really appreciate all he's doing, right?
We do appreciate him. He's a good man with a good heart.
Next article in today's show, what might it be? Oh, study.
Oh, yes.
Manacle Honey kills more bacteria than all available antibiotics. This is an article on Mike Adams' website, naturalnews.com. And basically he starts out the article with a statement, not all honey is created equal.
And it is not. This honey, we for the first time got it, how long ago was that?
It was probably 10 years ago we got it for the first time in New Zealand.
Yes, and then a friend of ours, Barbara Smith, if you're watching, Barbara, hello, she sent us a lot of Manacle Honey, and we've enjoyed it, and it's highly effective. Just reading this again, this article was so impressive to me on the powerful properties that we feel our Creator has just saturated this honey with. So do you want to cover some of the things?
Yeah, I mean, well, so here's some details about Manacle Honey. It's produced by bees that forage on the nectar of a certain tree in New Zealand. It's actually a bush in New Zealand. It's a Manuka bush. And also there's trees in New Zealand and Australia where the bees get their food. Now, one of the interesting things about Manacle Honey is that it fights superbugs. So you've heard about Mrsa, right? Methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. So there's certain bacteria that have become resistant to antibiotics, and Mrsa is one of the worst. You can die from Mrsa. Manacle Honey will kill Mrsa. It fights superbugs that are resistant to antibiotics. So just a couple of interesting things about Manacle, interesting properties of Manacle Honey. It is antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antiviral, antibiotic, and it's wound healing, and it also stimulates the immune system. So, you know, next time you want to put some honey in your coffee or your tea,
that would be the one of choice.
Maybe you could use Manacle Honey. It's hard to get in the United States, and it's very expensive, but yeah, you know, the reality is we're not Winnie the Pooh, so probably not going to eat a ton of honey. We're not going to sit down and eat the whole pot. So it's actually probably cheaper by volume than, you know, some other stuff that you're buying today that you don't have to import. But I'd recommend that for the next time that you want to use honey.
I wish I was Winnie the Pooh.
Speaking of honey, you want to do the next article for us? And you know you're not Winnie the Pooh.
Well,
you're
maybe
slender.
not, but...
Winnie the Pooh has a belly like me.
Well, I had fun reading it to our children, so that was fun. Let's see. CDC cracks down on communications with reporters. Wow.
Well, here's what's interesting about this article, folks. CDC has recently told their staff, this is a quote, I'm going to read it.
Unbelievable. Wait till you hear this.
They released, this was about a month ago, maybe a little over a month ago. They instructed all their employees not to speak to reporters. Here's their announcement to their staff at the CDC. Effective immediately and until further notice, and any and all correspondence with any member of the news media, regardless of the nature of the inquiry, must be cleared through CDC's Atlanta Communications Office. This correspondence includes everything from formal interview requests to the most basic of data requests. In other words, don't talk to the press. Don't share what we're doing at CDC. So my question is this, honey. If CDC's got nothing to hide, why does it seem like they're hiding something?
Exactly.
Right?
And what are they hiding?
Well, I can't say that I blame them, because what has happened over the last few years, which we covered in The Truth About Vaccines, was the CDC whistleblower story with Dr. William Thompson. He released documents of the CDC, official documents, that showed that they knew that the MMR was causing autism in African-American baby boys, and they did nothing. Not only did they do nothing, they burned the documents, and they got rid of them so we wouldn't know about it. And this was leaked. So I can't say I blame the CDC. I would probably put an embargo on information as well if I was hiding that kind of information.
And it wasn't just African Americans. It was more in that group of people, but it was with all children that they knew it was happening, the autism link there.
Yeah, you're right, honey. It was all children. The African American baby males had a
Were
higher
more
rate,
prone. They were more prone.
but all children it was causing autism in. And that, again, on the package inserts of certain vaccines that have been pulled from the market over the past years, it said that one of the side effects of the vaccine was autism.
Right.
So it's hidden in plain sight. But if you question it and if you say that it caused autism in your kid,
You're a
then
conspiracy
you're
theorist.
crazy, right?
You're a conspiracy theorist,
It's
right?
totally whacked out that you can actually.
Or quack. You're quack, isn't that
Yeah,
what
we're,
they say?
we're quacks.
We're
because
not
we read
doctors, but
package
we are.
inserts.
Yeah.
We're conspiracy theorists because we read a package insert.
So if you're a conspiracy theorist out there, welcome to the club.
Yeah, welcome to the club. And we're conspiracy realists, actually.
Right. Yes.
So here's another CDC-related story. CDC-funded study confirms flu shots linked to spontaneous abortions.
Wow.
Vaccine experts rush to explain away the findings. So CDC released a study that showed that the flu shot was linked to spontaneous abortions. And now they're trying to figure out a way to tweak it or change it or retract it so that people don't find out about it.
Because remember, they're pushing this on mothers now that are pregnant. So these are the ramifications. We saw this coming. Here we are.
Yeah, and I want to read a quote because we're not making this stuff up. It was a CDC-funded medical study published in the medical journal Vaccine, the top medical journal for vaccines, found a shocking link between flu shots and spontaneous abortions in pregnant women. Here's a quote. A study published today in Vaccine suggests a strong association between receiving repeated doses of the seasonal flu vaccine and miscarriage, wrote the Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy. So, what do they try to do? Do they tell you if you're pregnant you might not should get the flu shot? No, they try to figure out a way to bury the study so you don't learn about it. It was a 400% increase is what they found in spontaneous abortions, and it was reported on ABC News. So, not that ABC News is a bastion of hope, but it's mainstream news now that this is happening. Here's what's interesting. The flu shot, which is recommended for pregnant women, oftentimes is given in a multi-dose vial. The multi-dose vial is not thimerosal free. And even thimerosal free doesn't mean thimerosal free, but we don't have time to get into that. But the multi-dose vial openly admits on the label it says it contains thimerosal. And if you do the calculations of how much thimerosal, and that's 50% mercury. If you do the calculation on how much mercury is in a dose of the multi-dose flu shot, it's 200 times the amount of mercury that would be considered to be hazardous or toxic waste. That might be one of the reasons we're having spontaneous abortions is the mercury that's in the multi-dose flu shot.
That little nervous system just can't handle the overload. The babies that are born are becoming vaccine injured, and a lot of them are sudden infant death syndrome. There's definitely a correlation between the two.
Yep.
But now we're assaulting them when they're still in utero with vaccines, and it just continues to get worse. The babies can't even make it outside of the womb.
Yeah. And here I'm reading this article. Flu vaccines contain over 50,000 parts per billion of mercury. This is 25,000 times the EPA's legal limit of mercury in drinking water.
Wow.
So they're toxic. They're toxic. So, I mean, are we surprised?
Well, if you do your research, you're a nut. Right?
Yeah, keep researching.
Yes, keep researching. And you know what? We are making this mainstream with your help. People really are waking up, and you're no longer quite, out there when we have the mainstream news covering things like this.
Next article. Bombshell study shows that stress hormones caused by the fear of cancer diagnosis interfere with cancer treatments.
Oncologists are killing people is at the end of that.
This is Mike Adams' article, so
yeah.
Mike ends it up with oncologists are killing people.
He doesn't mince words, does he?
But the reality is, look, we know now that we've talked about in previous episodes how laughter causes an immune response that's positive. We also know that fear and stress cause a negative immune response. They suppress the immune system, depress the immune system. So, is it any wonder that the diagnosis of terminal cancer would cause someone to get sicker? Because you have someone that's diagnosed with cancer, that means they're already sick. And the oncologist looks at them and says, you got 3 months to live. And then how many times have we heard, honey, somebody said, when I was diagnosed, it was surreal. It was like I was out of my body. I couldn't believe it was me, and my heart fell, and I was overcome with fear. And
they were just hopeless.
I thought I was dead.
Despair.
There was no hope.
They believe that we have been trained to believe that cancer is a death sentence. But one thing that we like to say, we've said from the very beginning, is cancer does not have to be a death sentence. There's always hope. As long as there's breath, there's hope. And so that's why we're bringing you this information to empower you so that if you do get that diagnosis, and sometimes very healthy people that are doing, they think everything right, get that diagnosis. If you get that diagnosis, you will be equipped and fearless. We're taking the fear out of cancer and bringing back the truth, which ultimately brings back life.
Yeah, it does. I mean, and that's why we do what we're doing, is we want to give you hope. And that's why we're so opposed to an oncologist playing God and saying you're going to be dead in 3 months.
That's
There's
very
nothing to do.
frustrating.
Because what it does here is that they found in these tests on mice, they found that when breast cancer cells were exposed to stress hormones like norepinephrine and cortisol, they generated free radicals, which then protected the tumors from the chemotherapy. If you're doing chemo, the stress stopped the chemo from working. Okay? And so it's like a double whammy. So chemo does kill tumors. It'll kill cancer cells, but it kills you as well. It kills your immune system, but it'll kill cancer. And that's been shown. I mean, it kills fast-dividing cells. But what stress does when that oncologist pronounces you as having terminal cancer, the stress then causes you to release hormones that protect the tumor from the chemo. Meanwhile, the chemo is destroying your immune system. So you're not even getting the benefit of the killing the cancer cells that chemo normally will give you. People normally die from chemotherapy because it destroys their immune system, but it's also destroying the cancer. I mean, we've heard stories of oncologists that were happy at autopsy that somebody's tumor was gone, but the person was dead. Well, this stops that. Fear stops the chemo from even killing the cancer cells. So, again, you can't have oncologists that are pronouncing death on someone.
But that's all they know. That's the conventional doctors that are doing this. That's all they know to do. And so we're bringing you more options, more information, so that you don't have to get locked into that system that does cause a lot of fear. And fear alone can kill you. If you live in fear, it will break down your body, and eventually you just won't be here anymore. And that's why we admire CHIPSA Hospital, bringing down the country singers that just have such hearts for these cancer patients, bringing joy and hope back into their lives, which helps administer the healing to the body.
We've seen lots of studies that have been published in journals, and they've shown that meditation, prayer, yoga, all these things can cause improvements in people's physical conditions. So, in other words, the mind has a lot to do with healing. And so that's why
a peaceful mind.
Yeah, peaceful mind.
Peaceful.
And we've talked to doctors that have said, we've had 2 cancer patients. They have exactly the same diagnosis, same stage cancer, same everything, gave them the same treatment. One died, the other didn't. And the one that died, they're like, they never believed they could make it. I mean, and we've heard this from many different doctors. So the belief that you can heal has a lot to do with it. And so that's why we bring you the information, so you can believe that you will heal if you're diagnosed with cancer, because we believe you will, and we believe there are answers for cancer. We believe there is always hope. There's never should be an oncologist that says you're dead in X number of months. Cancer is not a death sentence. That's it, except for one thing. We want to try to end every episode with a health tip of the day. And what's our health tip?
Adopt a pet.
Adopt a pet, right? Pets make you happy. As we just announced at the Truth About Cancer Live Orlando, we've teamed up with Rodney Habib and Karen Becker on the Truth About Pet Cancer. And so we're really excited about that, getting information to you about how to heal your pets from cancer. And there was a study that was done, a Harvard University study, and I think the title of it was Get Healthy, Get a Pet, or Get Healthy, Get a Dog. And it showed, I think it was actually dogs, Get Healthy, Get a Dog. It showed that just owning a dog can make you healthier and happier.
And pet owners out there, I think that you can testify to the truth in that statement. There is a pet out there that needs you, and you need them. We love our pets. We have a German Shepherd dog, Grizzly. We couldn't even imagine life without. We love that dog. He always brings us joy. And various cats, some are favorites, some not so much our favorites. Yeah. But we do love our cats and 3 horses. And it brings such joy to our lives and that of our children's. And we know that it will for you too.
Yeah, and one of the reasons that pets are so great, and I saw this just yesterday, they love you no matter what, right?
They sure do.
So if somebody
Especially
wrongs
dogs.
you, right? If somebody wrongs you, you're like, I'm going to get back at that person. I'm so mad at them. And then the next time you see them, you give them a dirty look, and you give them the silent treatment or whatever.
Ouch.
Right? That's what we do. That's what human beings do. We're like, yeah, I'm mad at them. I'm not talking to them.
I guess some more than others, right?
Some more than others. But I know I'm guilty of it. I've done that before. But just yesterday, I was just stressed out. I was working on something upstairs, and I walked by Grizzly, our dog, and he came up wagging his tail to me, and I was like, get away, Grizzly. because I just wasn't in the mood.
Oh, poor
And he was like,
Grizzly.
he puts his head down, he walks away. And then literally, no more than 2 minutes later, I got back up out of the chair. I'm going to go walk into the kitchen. He comes back to me with his tail wagging. And I was like, yeah. So I petted him. I was like, yeah, he loves me no matter what. Even though I was just short with him, he still is a great dog to us. And I think that's one of the reasons that people love animals so much is that they're faithful, especially
And dogs are man's best friend, and
Yeah.
and that's just one example of why we say that.
Yeah, and some animals are faithful to never like you. Like there's certain cats that we have that hate me. They run.
He's
as soon as I see 'em.
intimidating. Let me
I
just
don't
tell
mean-
you
I'm
all,
not mean
he's-
to them, but they're just afraid of me. I
He's
guess.
big and strong and very intimidating, and
Yeah.
so it happens.
That's probably why.
It does.
But I try to be kind to them all the time. But regardless, we're kind of getting on a tangent. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Truth About Cancer Global Health News.
Yes.
And we got a lot more coming your way. So
We sure
please
do.
Share this with your friends and your family.
Yes,
Help
if you're
us
on
to get the word
Facebook,
out
follow
there.
us on The Truth About Cancer.
Yeah.
Share us with your friends. Share this episode with everybody you know. And you never know whose life you're going to touch and who you're going to save.
Yep. God bless.
Thanks. Bye-bye.